Hi, I'm Travis from TMK Interactive, and 2020 has been a crazy year in the world of live theater. All of us have had to adapt our performances from in-person events to online remote live streaming or on-demand shows. Together, we have struggled through the technological requirements of really moving these shows online and having to deal with camera, equipment, internet latency, as well as many other problems. Even though we are now well into 2021, I still thought it would be good to take a look back at some of the tips and tricks to filming for remote theater that we have learned over this past year. Let's take a quick look into lighting, cameras, network configuration that can really help your production succeed online. The two most common types of shows that we have are on-demand and live streaming. With an on-demand show, we have the luxury of being able to record our scenes ahead of time and edit them together after the fact. This gives us a lot of flexibility in adding sound effects and visual effects and cutting out any parts of the footage that we do not want. On the other hand, live streaming is more in the realm of what live theater has been, and we have to get everything correct the first time. There are no redos. Both of these types of shows present their own unique challenges. First, we need to decide what software and/or online services we are going to use to produce our project. This is going to be determined on whether we are planning on doing an on-demand show or a live streaming show. If we are doing an on-demand show, we are going to need a video editing software to combine all of our performance footage together into one video. There are many video editing softwares on the market, including Adobe's Premiere Pro, Apple's Final Cut Pro, iMovie, and DaVinci Resolve. I personally use DaVinci Resolve to edit my videos, and it has a great free version. And on the other hand, Premiere Pro is widely used, however, it does have a subscription. If you have a Mac computer, it is likely that you already have iMovie installed, and if you are just getting started with video editing, iMovie is the way to go, as it is the simplest way to cut together your clips. If you are live streaming your show, you will not need video editing software. In fact, oftentimes licensing does not allow you to alter your stream after it has concluded. There are a couple of options when it comes to streaming. Most of us are familiar with Zoom, as we have either used it to attend work meetings or to attend our school courses. And it can also be used to produce a show. Zoom, unfortunately, is a little restrictive in what we are and are not able to do, as it is mainly a teleconferencing software. If we wanted to go more in depth with streaming, we could use a software such as OBS, which is an open source software free to use for anyone. When it comes to live streaming a show, I think one of the most important things to consider is your network connectivity. I have not seen many people talk about this, and would like to quickly go over some tips and tricks to configuring and connecting to your network, which will make sure that you have a reliable connection that does not lag or drop out. The best way to ensure you have a reliable network is to have a hardwired connection directly into your router. And if your computer does not have an Ethernet port, by default, you can pick up an Ethernet to USB adapter on Amazon. We've all come to learn that Wi-Fi is not very reliable, but why? Wi-Fi works in the RF spectrum, sort of like how the radio station in your car works. A Wi-Fi router broadcasts the signal on a certain channel, and if there are too many routers in close proximity talking on the same channel, you can run into drop signals, lag, and many other issues. If you are unable to hardwire your computer directly into the router, it might be worth taking a look at your router settings and configuring your Wi-Fi to use a channel that is not used by anyone else around you. If you'd like to see a tutorial on this, leave a comment below. Whether you are filming for an on-demand show or live streaming, lighting the room where you will be performing will ensure that you have an image that looks the best it possibly can. Unlike the human eye, cameras are not quite as good at filming in dark situation. This is because they require a photon of light hitting a photosensor in order to generate the image. And if there's not a lot of light, they're going to end up with a grainy, blurry image. Thankfully, it is easy to get around this issue, and all we have to do is make sure there's lots of light in the room. The easiest way is to open a window and let the sun do the heavy lifting for you. But if you are using the window, make sure that the sun's rays are not shining directly on the performer, because this will cause them to become washed out. Additionally, you can look around your house and find any lamps or other sorts of lighting devices you have laying around, and put those in the room and turn them on so that we can get as much light as possible. Another issue that cameras have is that their dynamic range is not as good, which is the ratio of how much detail in the light versus how much detail in the dark parts of the image. This is why when you're probably been on a Zoom call before and people either look like they're this pure white background, or there's just this mysterious silhouette, and then we're still able to see the background. And the easiest way to prevent this from happening is to not film in front of a window. And we're going to want to have that window behind the camera, providing natural front light. We also want to avoid any direct beams of light from hitting the performer. So if you have a lamp that has a really harsh beam, try bouncing it off of a wall first. Now that we've gotten sort of the lighting out of the way, let's jump into usually what is considered the heart of the production, the video camera. If you are filming for an on-demand show and editing together the footage later, you have a lot more options when it comes to picking the camera you want to use. You can either use a camcorder, a DSLR, or even a cell phone. And in fact, these days, cell phones have very good video cameras built right into them. If you are live streaming, you're most likely going to be using the webcam in your computer. Although, if you want to improve your video quality, one can purchase a capture card that allows you to plug a camera directly into your computer and use it as a webcam. Regardless of whatever camera you're using, we're going to want to set them up the same way. We want the camera's height to be about eye level, and we really want to make sure that the performer's eyes are about 2/3 the way down from the top of the frame. This is called the rule of thirds, and is commonly used, a commonly used camera framing technique. We also make sure that the camera stays still the entire recording or streaming sessions. So make sure that where you're placing the camera is as solid as can be. That way it won't wiggle around. Sound is another very important aspect of filming. We want to try to avoid hearing any background echo from the people we are performing with remotely. The best way to do this is to use headphones. And in the past, I've had fairly good success with using Apple's AirPods. If you do not have access to headphones, make sure that you turn down the volume on the computer as far as possible. That way we can prevent the echo from being heard in your recording. Or if you're feeling fancy, you can pick up one of these lavalier microphones on Amazon for fairly inexpensive. And this will give you a much better sound quality, and they plug right into your computer or your camera. Since we are doing remote theater, one of the most powerful tools we have is virtual backgrounds. We have all seen virtual backgrounds on Zoom with varying success, but they have a couple of inherent issues. Whenever you look at the edge of the image, you can see some noise, or if the person backs up far enough, they will disappear altogether. This is because Zoom uses a computer algorithm that tries to intelligently determine what is a human being and what is not a human being. And no matter how good computer algorithms are these days, they're still prone to these sorts of issues. The best way to get around this is by using a green screen. Green screens are much more reliable because they determine what should and should not be removed based on the color, which is much, much more reliable. There are a couple of caveats when using a green screen though. We want to make sure that the green screen is as green and vibrant as possible, and stands out the most from you. We also want to make sure that it does not have any wrinkles and that the color is consistent all the way across. Once we get our green screen set up, we can go into the Zoom recording settings and tell it that we have a green screen, and then we are able to choose the color that we want to key out. Likewise, if we are using OBS, inside the filter for the video, there is an option to add chroma key and remove the green background. Great. Now we have our production ready to go. And the very last step is to send it to a streaming platform. There are many options including YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, and many specific theater streaming platforms. If we have an on-demand show, that is very simple. We just need to upload that video to our streaming site of choice. And if we are doing a live stream production, we are going to need to send the streaming service an RTMP stream, which the streaming platform will provide you the credentials in order to send your stream to their service, which you can enter into your streaming software of choice. And with that, we have our show live on the web. Let me know in the comments below if there are any specific topics you would like me to cover. We could explore how to inject QLab sound cues into Zoom or OBS, or look into how to put all of our performers in one frame instead of having them in individual squares. But let me know really what you want to see. And if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing to help out the channel, and I'll see you next time.